come on board. And in the meantime, whilst we're doing this, let's just do a quick sound check. If you can put just a little Y in the chat box to tell me that you can see my screens and that you can indeed hear me. And also, by the way, this webinar will be recorded. There have been, thank you. There have been a large number of people subscribing, which really surprised me. And I don't expect that many people to be on the call as we are coming into the Thanksgiving holiday period. Hence, obviously, as I said, it will be recorded, and you will all be receiving the recording in the next 24 hours or so. Right, okay. Now, actually, let's get the technical stuff done here, first of all, which means basically I'll have to draw your attention to the risk disclaimer. As you all know, trading is risky. I am required to put this up on all my videos. Here, please read the risk disclosure on mental strategies for traders and on the risk disclosure page. Okay, now, for those of you who don't know me, and I know there are quite a few of you on this call, now basically I started my professional life out at training at Commerzbank, which was quite interesting, and I certainly realized very, very early on in my career that a career in banking definitely was not for me. Even though I got a taste of the stock exchange. In those days it was floor trading, which was brilliant. But I was not there to be a trader really, rather, to train for banking. So anyway, that was that. Then later on, I worked with military personnel in transformational seminars in Germany, which was a fascinating time. And then later on, since 2001, I've traded my own account and have coached professional and independent traders since 2006, helping them to improve the mental game of trading, to trade better. And of course, as we all know, it's 99% of the game, really, once you know the basics of trading. So my coaching focuses on merging the three-dimensional world of our existence, where we are all focused on, with the neuroscience and the science of, obviously, which is the science of our brains, and the science of quantum physics, together with more esoteric teachings of the wisdom traditions, which, by the way, quantum physics is proving everything the quantum physics have told us. And, I studied on the path learning to help overcome my own many trading issues, which I did have in the first few years of my trading. I learned NLP, I learned Huna, I did Zen, and various other modalities, which I also use in my coaching. And it's helped me tremendously, and basically everything, I teach, I have done myself. So we will be discussing the cycles of time and place and space. We'll go deeper into what exactly your environment is all about. We'll talk about a few interesting discoveries which really have changed the way we look at reality and at our own individuality and how we see the world completely over the last 10 years. I mean, it's been a complete game changer. So you will also understand why these new findings have got profound implications, on our lives at large going forward. Then we'll talk about from Homo sapiens, which we are now, to Homo luminous, and you'll understand what I mean by that as we go through the presentation. You'll also see, we'll talk a bit about victimhood in, of our environment, which we've all been brought up to be. And then, you will learn why this information is so absolutely vital and critical to becoming better traders. And afterwards, we'll do a quick Q&A session, see how quickly we go through this. Now, to begin, let's talk about the cycles of time, space, and place. Those of you who are familiar with cycle analysis, which incidentally is a large part of my work, even in the shorter term time frames, well, you will know that, of course, cycles appear in many forms. The seasons is an obvious example for it. Seasonal trading, lots use this information. I do use some of it for my trading. I have to say, though, and I want to emphasize this here, I would never ever trade off it, because you can't. It is not 100% accurate science, purely and simply because we are talking about much wider time frames where when these cycles, seasonal cycles, apply. But it's a useful tool to be having. Cycles appear in space, of course, also as objects like the stars and planets, in other words, astrology. Cycles are constantly moving targets. They are an energy, ultimately, all said and done. And that helps us to observe patterns. The reversion to the mean is a very good example of such a pattern, and you get that, by the way, also in astrology. What is rather less well known is that cycles also can trigger cell memory. And this is something, we'll be talking about quite a bit later on, how cell memory gets triggered in this big cycle in particular we are going through at the moment, which is to a large part the reason why we are seeing so much mayhem in the world at large. Cycles obviously also appear in the human body. Biorhythm. Biorhythm is a very important part which you should all be using in your trading. It's something I teach all my private coaching clients, and everybody's biorhythm is different, and biorhythms can change again within the seasons. And here we are coming into this aspect of things that everything ultimately is connected. So sleep cycles, very, very important. Most of us, dare I say, are not getting enough sleep, and particularly as we are going through this massive shift, it's very important to get rest, the right kind of rest to regenerate the overwhelming input for many of us we are getting during our days. So, of course, the building blocks of cycles, like everything, are quantum particles, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. Beliefs have a direct impact on the quantum particles. Actually, your beliefs, which are formed from observation, are the thing that really shifts quantum particles. So you may as well think of beliefs as as dense energy clusters. Now, here is an image of a quantum particle which is in a state of awaiting creation, shall we say. It is awaiting the observer that observes reality into shape, because this is really ultimately what it is all about in a nutshell. We are constantly creating our reality into shape, three-dimensional shape. So epochal shifts are upon us in our environment. This hasn't happened overnight, but it's certainly become very, very apparent in the last 12 months. It's been going on for the last 50 or 60 years, actually, gradually gaining more intensity. We are talking about the completion of a 25,920-year super cycle. So this one is big. So obviously the transition through the cycle is not going to take a few days, weeks, or months. It's going to take years. So we are right in the pinnacle of this transition, the transition period of this major cycle. And the pinnacle is happening, as we speak, September, October, November, December, into January, first, second week of January. This is where we are completing, and the planets are completing, they're traveling over the center of our galaxy. So, this thing is huge. You can feel it everywhere. And it's a preparation for the energies to align for bigger shifts, which are about to come going forward. Until the until the middle of January, I think it is fair to say, you will find that things are very, very, very mega intense. And of course, we are into, the holiday period, which has got, the ability to bring all sorts of stuff out in us. We don't need to go into that right now. Suffice it to say, it can be a testing time. By the same token, if you know how to navigate this, it's like, the two sides of a coin. They are also tremendous opportunities for growth, for insight, for regeneration, for learning to do really things in a very, very different way, laying foundations which will last for decades to come. Where we are at the moment, it is a time where probably the inner work could be no more effective than right now, because it gives us the chance to completely rewrite our existence. It is that powerful. I'm not making this up. I know this from working with my clients, working in our group, the Awaken the Inner Master Trader, where we've got some, very high vibrating individuals in there. By the way, high vibrating doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have any issues. It just means one transmutes them faster because one's already learned to use the tools as a part of one's being. New scientific discoveries explain the nature of our environment we live in. And, as I said, we are in a pivotal point in our individual consciousness. Really, this is, what it's all about, and our world. So there is massive, massive potential here if you know how to handle it, and how to deal with it in a constructive and meaningful manner, which is really, what we are talking about. So the insights I'm about to share with you, I hope and sincerely trust that they will share, that they will change the way you think about life in general. This is not just about your trading, because what you do in trading, you do in other areas of your life as well. It will certainly alter how you approach your trading. I'm absolutely sure of this. It's not a one-day change everything thing, but it all starts with little baby steps. You have one little insight, and from there, it's like a kaleidoscope. A new world opens. So because your life and trading are inextricably linked, and I will prove that to you as we go through this webinar. You will see what you do in one area of your life, it repeats in another area of your life. And if you get this intellectually, you will also understand why we absolutely have to learn to use our brain and our body, by the way, very differently in order to survive and thrive in the coming years. As I said already, by the middle of January, this sort of push and pull energy, which is sort of like the opening of a huge portal, where if you have the tools, you get, sometimes disturbing inside view into all those hidden areas you have not been able to see before, because the brain has been on default, using default decoys, detraction, resistance, resentment, overwhelm. These are all decoys we have been used, and these decoys have become programs to stop us from really seeing what we need to see. And what we need to see are all those things which have had their time, and now it's for something new, because this old stuff isn't serving us anymore. And with that, things are also very, very physical, in the sense that we are moving into energetically lighter beings. And that means the crystalline structures of our bodies are changing. And this is what I mean by moving from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. Oops, sorry, I just moved my thing here a bit. So where are we? Let me just see. I lost. Oops. Sorry about that. I shifted. I don't know how that happened. Let's just go back to that slide again here. There we are. Here we are. So right, not quite here. So back there. So as above, so below, which is really another way of saying everything is connected. And what happens in the universe also happens at the smaller levels, in the smaller time frames. It's really no different than looking on a daily chart. And if you use the right kind of analysis, you will see what happens on your daily chart. It's exactly the same thing in miniature on the 1 minute chart, a Uni-Renko chart, or whatever you choose to use to trade. So what happens, just as in trading, a very good example, by the way, here is the moving average ribbon band, where you have larger moving average down to smaller moving averages. They compress. And this is what we have when time, space, and place occur in certain positions. Then impulses occur. And these impulses, they act, as we've already said, like memory portals. Most of us don't know how to handle these situations. And when that happens, because you either trade too fast, you are too slow, or you don't trade at all, this is what we do in trading. And it's exactly what I said about the decoys, the mental decoys. It's exactly the same thing. It just expresses itself in slightly different ways. So, obviously, as you know, the bigger the cycle, the bigger the impulses, conversion of cycles, well, the density of these energy bubbles is so extreme. And this is what we are having to learn to move out of, because right now we are dealing with a period of time where there are many impulses from different cycles, in place and time, and it's multidimensional. They are all coming together, and we absolutely have to learn to deal with this. And the old tools just aren't working anymore, purely and simply because our galaxy at large and our solar system have already shifted so much in energy frequency that the information we are receiving now is on a different level. You can't access it with the old vibration anymore. So as Homo sapiens, you cannot act it anymore. And here is a beautiful image, shows this beautifully. Here is where we are, that image to the left, right? That's how we've been. We are focused on the three-dimensional reality. We are looking outside. We are seeing all that scary stuff that is on CNN and CNBC and Bloomberg, and most of it lies. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. Here, this is, to the right side, is an image of what we are becoming. As I said, our crystalline structure, the chakras in the body are changing. So because it is aligning on a lighter level to faster moving frequencies. The higher frequencies in our environment, they are faster. And you experience this in a very, very uncomfortable way whilst you are insisting on remaining on that old treadmill of hard work, externally driven. There is just too much of a disconnect there. Now, here. This is, what I've said, the connection from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. Obviously, this is all not happening overnight, but it is a gradual process. And as with any process, when it first starts, you may not be aware of it. And it's easy to go back to the old way of being. It's a bit like, when you are a baby and you are learning to walk. I use this example a lot. At some point, you started walking and you get a glimpse, but it feels uncomfortable. So, the toddler goes back to toddling again. And after several attempts, at some point, the toddler can walk. And at that point, it is suddenly a very different vista. And you think, wow, oh, I wished I'd always done this. And that is precisely, guys, what's going on here at the moment. But it's happening more on a non-physical level. And that is the difficulty we are all having to deal with. We know something is different, but we don't know quite because, you wake up, you open your eyes, your computer is still there, the markets are still there, and, CNBC and everything is still there, but it's different. It's not only different because there is chaos out there, it is also different in another area, which is sort of far harder to put into words. And this is, where you can really only go into a different kind of modality, which we all have unlearned how to use. Now, and here it is important to understand why the quantum particles are so important. They are, of course, the building block of absolutely everything. Now, let's talk for a moment about the behavior of a quantum particle. They are quite amazing things, actually, and it'll explain to you actually what I just, in bigger terms, try to explain to you what we are experiencing in our world at the moment. Now, the quantum particles have got the ability to appear simultaneously, just as energy only. They can appear as matter. They can be visible and invisible simultaneously, and they can also appear simultaneously in different places at once. There has been research on this. It is really quite fascinating. And now if you consider that you are made out of quantum particles, that is the basic building block of you. Now, the whole story becomes actually very, very exciting. Consciousness is that medium, that invisible medium, that connects everything you cannot see in our world, in the universe at large. And it is that piece that talks to the quantum particles. In other words, it is, if you recall, I said at the beginning, the observer observes the quantum particle into shape. This is what we are talking about here. Now, from the quantum to 3D reality, scientific studies, as I've said already, show that, this amazing thing. And if you can take this amazing understanding of the behavior of the quantum particle and take it into your life, you will be amazed what is possible. So here is a picture. Quantum particles in different stages of visibility, this photograph, and here are the thing how these quantum particles are always connected to each other. It's once a connection has been made from one quantum particle to another, it cannot be undone. And there are these light channels, which if there are enough of them and if they are dense enough, they form big portals, but that's something else. So, this is basically what is going on here. And it is fascinating to understand this. If you can work with it, direct your consciousness in alignment with this observation, magic is well and truly possible. It's got to be learned. I'm not saying, it's going to happen overnight. So this brings us perhaps to a somewhat different understanding of what constitutes our environment. And, really we are looking at your environment as a soup of energy where everything is connected. And the only difference between your environment and your body is how the different vistas appear in your field of consciousness. So basically what we are saying here is what you and how you habitually think and how you habitually act is the one thing that determines what you see elsewhere in your life. That's really where we are at. So the big misperception is that there is, basically know us, and that there is an us and there is a then, that there is a separation, what you do in one area of your life, as we've already said, and in another area of your life, that there is an outside and an inside, and that the two things are separate. Well, they are not. So how you see yourself and how you see your world is purely a matter of consciousness. Ultimately, there is nothing else. There really is nothing else. Anything else is an illusion. Consciousness alone reflects what you see on your charts. So, that is really, so a big, big thing. Therefore, if you want to create peace and harmony in the world, peace and harmony in your trading, you have to absolutely find ways of getting rid of old programs, which is the old ways of thinking that really don't serve you any longer. Your consciousness is, again, the only thing that creates the world. And I know this is big, and it takes a while to wrap your head around it and really integrate this into every part of your being. So, but when you do, basically you have a choice, because we always have choices. You can either expand your consciousness or you can reject the expansion of consciousness. It's an absolute choice. Of course, if you do the latter, a lot of friction ensues, unfortunately. There was, in the 80s, a big peace experiment. Some of you may know about it. And this peace experiment at the time provided us with amazing insights. And during the time, people meditated on peace from all over the world. During that time of the meditation, accidents in large cities reduced significantly. There was virtually no crime recorded in large cities. But guess what? At the end of the meditation, things basically went back to normal. At the time, the scientific community came to the conclusion that, well, if we go and meditate a little bit every day, well, hey, we can change our reality, because look what happened. All of a sudden, no crime, no accidents. It was just, quite extraordinary. However, the big game changer is that another 30 years later, we have learned that a little bit of meditation, a little bit of prayer or whatever you do is not enough. It does not create changes that last. You may see, you have a few feel-good moments, and then everything goes back to normal. And it's the same with learning. You don't learn by visiting something once. The mind forgets what is not repeated within 24 hours. That's a scientific fact. So now the big game changer is that we now know that changes that last will only happen when we are creating changes at energetic level, at vibrationary level. In other words, you have to do something that changes your vibrational output, your dominant vibration. So, here's what we already said, how we learn. Usually when you do something new, you get excited, it's wonderful. And you may even see and feel palpable shifts usually after a week or so, sometimes even quicker. That shift gets integrated and that feeling becomes less intense. And certainly after a month, there is no change, everything is back to normal. And you may think, well, I'm back to the same old way of thinking, the same shit bothers me, blah, 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 blah. And that is when the majority of people give up. That's, by the way, why most traders don't succeed. They just don't stay the course. The interesting thing is what actually happens in the field, in the invisible field, in your brain at this point changes. Tiny little changes happen in the brain. And unless you keep going through that period where on the surface of it, nothing seems to happen, this is where you're just about to create lasting changes. And you have to absolutely carry on to get out on the other end and see the light of the tunnel and get those changes that are created at DNA level. So the mind basically has created a tentative, what we also call quantum entanglement. This is where I showed you that picture before with the quantum particle, where sort of new synapses are created, new pathways are created. One particle connects to another one, and it's like a little light wave. So these light waves become stronger and stronger and bond together, and you'll see in a moment how they bond together strongly to create change. So you just gotta keep going through this until something changes in your external environment. So, and that means you have to pay no heed to what your untrained but well-conditioned brain who lives off excitement is telling you, oh, no excitement, well, I better give up on this. That's not how it works. So there was a study done which was called the Marshmallow Effect. Some of you may have heard of it. The Marshmallow Effect basically carried out studies on a group of children who were tracked for 30 years. And those children were asked, they were given a choice, basically. Would they like one marshmallow now, or would they prefer to have 2 marshmallows in 2 hours? Those children who chose to have 2 marshmallows in 2 hours had more success in life. They had better relationships. They had more success in their work. They, I nearly said they traded better. Well, they would make better traders, and they were earning more money basically. And of course, well, we are playing to this idea here with this insight of instant gratification, of which the trading industry makes a lot of money. I mean, you only go on Google and check out trading systems, check out brokers. Everybody promises you the world, the fantastic platform. You are going to print money, better than the Fed can do it. So, okay. So really, what we are saying, you have got to find a way of getting beyond that conditioned mind that wants things now, that only accepts things that it can see, and of course that wants instant gratification. And that thing is meditation. Meditation is not a fast track to success. Nothing that yields lasting changes in life, which are for life, is a fast track. It just does not exist, guys. I always say that in every webinar, because I just want to get around this, forgive my French here. I say French, that BS stands for belief systems, that you can, just, make, money just like this. Money is an internal process of appreciating how you work and understanding how the world around you works, because and how you create your reality. And meditation is the tool that gives you access to those areas you cannot see, that subtle energy. It is the medium through which you can create changes when you do it right, quite quickly. With practice, you will learn to do it right. And that is where you change that invisible quantum particle into that visible 3-dimensional form over time. And of course, the beauty is, the better you get at it, the faster the change becomes. And, at some point, amazing things happen, synchronicities occur, and, the stuff, we like to call miracles occur. What are miracles? Miracles are things you cannot explain by the logical linear mind, the visible. So really what I'm talking about is, cultivate that inner environment. In other words, your job is to learn to communicate with the quantum field in a way that creates effective shifts in that invisible field. And that shift occurs when beliefs are practiced through the vision of your mind and the emotion of love. And the two together when they come together, they are fused by the energy of the heart, and that energy is feeling. And your heart is an amazing thing. The heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times more powerful than your brain. Its electric field is 100 times more powerful than the brain's electric field. And of course, everything consists of magnetism and electricity. And when you create the right environment, and through meditation you can do this, your cells will change. Healing is possible. I have seen it. I have worked with clients. We do exactly that, and it's palpable. You can feel it. You do it repetitively. You begin to see in your inner vision how healing and everything else is created. It's an amazing thing. Okay, here is an image of how it all works. There are the chakras. And the chakras 1, 2, and 3 are the centers, the emotional centers. And your emotional centers can only have 2 emotions, and the one is love and the other one is fear. And of course, the 2 come in, a myriad number of forms. And then the heart is the thing that brings it all together. The chakras 5, 6, and 7 are the higher chakras where the imagination and your higher vision occurs, and all those together. It's not on this image here. It's something we do in meditation. We connect to what is called the ka. That is that place of unification. You can feel it. It can be a very, very physical thing. And when you connect to this thing, and usually change then happens very, very quickly when you go there. So the universe, of course, is permanently aligned with your dominant frequency, and we all vibrate at different frequencies. And it is actually possible in transition periods in particular to vibrate both at fear and vibrate in the higher vibrations. And in other words, you have got one foot in the old energy and one in the new one. And that is usually when it feels really, really uncomfortable and the energy is sticky and you don't know what you're thinking. The brain is an overwhelm. And this is when you make stupid trading mistakes and you look at your charts and you just do not see what you should see because you are in tunnel vision, which which happens every time you are in overwhelm. And it's a time when you should pause and walk away from whatever you are doing, and particularly from trading, because this is the time during which delays occur at best. At worst, well, we know what that looks like. You lose money in your trading account. To be or not to be, that is a choice we all have to make. Everyone has got to make. It's no good just reading a book. At the end of the day, change occurs by doing, and not just by paying empty lip service. This is why I said at the beginning of this webinar, everything I teach, I have done myself. I've been through all the different processes. I use all the tools. I know when they work. I know when they don't work. I know how to make them work. And this is what I teach, really, in a nutshell. So, and lasting changes, as we said, they occur when you change your frequency. And this is not about changing your frequency a little bit, just like a little bit of meditation doesn't do it. The shift happens when you have this big insight and something big inside of you changes. And when you know, okay, I am going to do this, come what may, I'm going to stick with this new insight, with this new strategy, and I'm going to do it. And that's at some point you reach the top of the mountain. And when you are there, you have a different vista and everything inside changes. And from that moment onward, it becomes easier to let go of old beliefs that don't serve you anymore, because you will begin to see them. You will have access to the part of the brain that is, in the old part of the brain, the limbic part, where, our automatic actions and reactions, and our intuition resides. So at the end of the day, everybody has to walk across that bridge, and that bridge is very tight because it requires from you to do something you haven't seen and you have no real understanding of as yet. So it's I might as well say it's an act of faith. So you have to take that first step. And my job as a coach, as a teacher, as a mentor, call it what you like, is to show you the door. I can open it for you, at least a bit. But at the end of the day, you have to walk through the threshold, over the threshold, rather, by yourself. I cannot do that for you, and nobody can do that for you. And that is the truth, the honest truth about everything. So, here, are you ready? Sorry, there's a mistake there. Never mind. I think you get the picture loud and clearly, I hope. Let's talk a little bit about the harmony of the universe. And this is actually quite fascinating because your body is the instrument through which all creations materialize. And this one is actually huge. In fact, creation, call it God, call it the creative field, call it whatever you like. It depends on you. It cannot function without you. I had a big insight on this in meditation the other day. This is literally how it works. And it is ultimately, when you get it, it's a very benign thing. And this is why it is so important that we hone this connection to our higher selves, that we hone this connection to love. Here's the explanation again of what I showed you in that picture and explained to you, how it works, how it hangs together. And when you get this and you start functioning through the dominant energies of love, harmony, you are contributing to harmony in the universe, you're contributing to harmony obviously in your own body, in your relationships, and last but not least, of course, your trading. The heart ultimately is the bridge to all your desires, and it's about learning to trade from the heart energy. And that, I know, sounds almost counterintuitive. It sounds kind of alien, because I know most of you who are on this call just don't do it. Yeah, and there is something, you start to react, boom, you are pulled into that outside energy. Yeah, do I need to move my stop? Is my stop too close? Is it too wide? Will it go my way? Won't it go my way? And it's these projections we have all the time, and they disturb that inner peace when you really should be focusing on feeling and experiencing the harmony that is expressed through your charts, on your charts. If you have, by the way, if you have too many indicators, you won't be able to do it. But that is another story and really another webinar. But when you are in this place where you are calm, where you are centered, where you are coming from the heart, you will see so much more on your charts. In other words, you stop seeing the charts with blinkers, rather than focusing on, let's say, MACD, focusing on your EMA crossovers. I'm just making this stuff up. Instead of seeing the whole picture is market structure. The whole picture is market rhythm. And of course, the whole picture is also understanding the much wider context within which all this is taking place. This is why we are talking about the cycles. This is why I'm saying as above, so below. But when you get this, and when you can operate with that dominant energy, I can assure you that your trading life will change, because your focus comes away from being the victim of what, all those things, and there are a gazillion things in every moment and time that are going on for all of us. The world is like this. The majority of people haven't yet got it. They are running around like headless chickens. The majority of traders are trading like this. I might also say, actually, less is more. And I hope that I am able to give you a sense of why it is so important to connect consciously with the heart intelligence, and above all, why the heart intelligence is the highest intelligence you can develop in your trading life. Now, here is a brilliant image. I love this, the bridge in Chamonix. I just had to put this in here. A picture speaks louder than 1,000 words, doesn't it just? Right, unlearning and relearning. Well, we have been taught that our outer environment dictates what happens in our lives. That was plain wrong. We've also been taught that DNA cannot be changed. It's wrong. We have been taught that we cannot understand creation. That is also totally wrong. And we have been taught evolution created the human species, and that is also wrong. And that's another webinar. Really, what all this boils down to is pretty much what you have been told, how the world operates. It's wrong. And we know this now because we have got the scientific insights. A lot of it is still deliberately kept away from us. There is a lot of humbug out there. If you buy into this, you will remain in victimhood. And one of our jobs is to learn to distinguish between truth and the fiction in which we are living, believing that it is real. And a meditation is one of the tools that will help you to hone that sensitivity between what is real and what is not real, and what is ultimately true. There are not that many truths. They can be expressed in different ways through your own unique consciousness, of course. But ultimately, you see, the thing is, it's actually very, very simple. And the world doesn't, well, the powers that be, if you like, they don't want you to know that it's simple. If I said to you, trading actually, it really is quite simple. Don't use that many indicators. Well, your broker won't agree with you, particularly if I say don't trade that much. The software companies won't like me saying that too much, because they, not all of them, I have to say, don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here, but a lot of them, and I think it's fair to say the majority of them, that's how they make their money. Buy another indicator, and you just have to follow my system, and you will make money. Well, until the system breaks down. So, okay, back to feelings. As we've already said, everything is connected. Our lives are connected to absolutely everything in the cosmos, and that can be known. That's the beauty of everything, that can be known. It is a practice. You have to work at it. It doesn't come just with the intention, sort of saying, oh yeah, I can know this. You have to practice it, and the formula is, I've shown you how to open the heart, how to connect the lower survival frequencies to the heart, to the love frequency, and open the higher chakras to the to your inner vision, and to the connection of creation. And that together brings you into that feeling where there is ultimately nothing but a form of love. It's very, very difficult to put into words, and I trust, well, in a way, every time I do these webinars, I trust I'm getting a bit better at explaining this, because we are talking here about something. It's not words, it's something else. Now, we also know, of course, let's move away a little bit here from, being too esoteric, that understanding a formula, and this is why I'm spending time explaining to you how all this works, because the initial step is understanding something. You need to understand how it works in order to do it. How else, the majority of of us operate like this. There are, relatively few out there. Some can by, just saying, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Boom, do it. For the majority of us, and that's absolutely fine, we need to be shown a way of how it works so that we can say to the linear part of the brain, okay, brain, we quite like this idea. I think, we need to look a little bit further into this, and this is, really how it works. And, the idea is, and I hope that I am imparting this to you, that you have to remain motivated through these dark moments when nothing much seems to happen. That is really the trick. So we know, of course, above all, that when we change our beliefs permanently, that is, bigger lasting changes must occur. It is neuroscience 101. And I have seen quite a few brain scans where people have changed things, where people have come off drugs of their own volition and decided they are going to do the inner work. Again, yes, it takes time. It's not a one-day wonder. They have changed their brains. They have changed mental conditions and also physical conditions. I know it is possible. I can tell you, my own partner, who is, retired hedge fund manager, he had brain injury from a fall. He couldn't trade. It's really, really difficult for him. So he was on all these drugs and things. Didn't help. And at some point, he got to the point where he said, right, okay, he stopped taking the drugs. It was not easy. It was difficult. He did it, and gradually, he is getting to a point where he can start using his brain, in a better way. So what I'm saying here, why I'm sharing this with you, is to show you where there is willpower, because ultimately all shift, all change, all enlightenment meaning becoming lighter, it's a matter of willpower. That's really, what it boils down to. And the belief, I can do this. It is possible. So, of course, as if you didn't know, but just I'm doing this in particular for those, who might want to just go through the slides quickly again. So, yeah, the answer to what the Dickens has all this to do with trading, of course, everything. We are coming back to as above, so below. There is no separation. Everything is joined together. And when you change your emotions and your thoughts, then you change your feelings about life, and then you change your awareness of what is possible for you. It is really quite simple. The doing it is another matter. New beliefs, as we've already said, if they are maintained, create new possibilities. It's not about one sweet little thought that feels good in the moment. Rather, it is about the correct communication with your environment. And we are talking both about your inner as well as your outer environment. As long as you are in judgment and you say, Trump is an asshole, or Trump is the most fantastic guy in the world and everybody else is an asshole, well, you're not getting it. Judgment doesn't do it. This is about becoming detached, about being in harmony and allowing that chaos that goes on around us to unfold, whilst at the same time honing and nurturing that inner resilience from a knowledge that there is something else, that there is something bigger that is inside of you, that is inside of everybody, and honing that and nurturing it and making it you, so that you are living and breathing it in every moment of your existence. This is what we are doing, what we are talking about here. I can't stress this often enough. So now, how do you bring this teaching alive? As if you didn't know already, we're learning to meditate, but not any old meditation. No, you are learning to meditate from your ideal future. And this is what we practice in the transformational guided meditation academy every other week. So and you, if you decide to do something with this information, we would get to do this every day, with the recordings. So it's not about visualizing in the schematic way. I want a new Ferrari. I want to have $1 million in my trading account, preferably by tomorrow morning, preferably using an automated system where I just switch the button and don't have to look at it until I count my dollars. No, it's about a visualization of your ideal state of being. And this is, what I teach all my clients, basically. It's becoming the energy of your ideal future now and being in that place, learning to be in this place 24/7. And when you learn to meditate correctly and set aside every day half an hour to an hour, that's all it requires, you will get there, and you will see at some point profound positive changes that will last a lifetime. So there is a secret that really isn't talked about much, and we have to address this here. There is a lot going on at the moment, a lot of fear about 5G, EMF, mind control tools which are out there, and none of it is good. Let's make no mistake. What is being done to the environment by certain elements in our society, it is brutal. It keeps us in victimhood because it makes it harder to become independent human beings. You can live in the most fabulous environment and have all the tools, play all the most wonderful brain harmonizing music if you like, and the moment you step outside, there is 5G, there is wireless bombardment wherever you go, and it lowers your energy. It's what it does. There has been a lot of research being done about it here in the UK, where I live. There have been many petitions against 5G, which is being employed in lampposts and things, and has got the potential to do all sorts of unpleasant things, which, well, we don't really, well, of course we don't want them. And in some counties, the protests have been, and petitions have been that effective that counties have stopped the employment of, things like these new lampposts, because they have got spying devices on them. They can spy into your homes, and, God knows what else is possible. So, it's not a pretty thing. Now, there is, at the end of the day, only one way to get beyond all this crap, and that is by building your inner resilience, by building the field around you that is your auric field, that it becomes so strong that it cannot be penetrated by all these things like 5G, and all this other wireless stuff, and the energies from the computer, which are not compatible naturally with the natural brain waves from your brain. So we have to use techniques to really build our strength, our resilience from within. That's what we are talking about. And one word here, I'm not saying not to use the aids. I use some of them myself. I have got a geometric harmonizing structure that harmonizes the energy in my entire house and beyond. But you should use tools like this because they help, but don't lose sight of the fact that these are just aids. They are crutches until you learn to walk. It's a bit like the tricycle. You use the freewheeler thing until you can ride the bicycle. That's really what we are talking about. And incidentally, can't help myself. I have to put that in here. It's a bit like your indicators. How many do you need? Far fewer than you think. So what we are saying here, We are coming to the end of this presentation now. I've talked a little bit longer than I thought. My apologies. The ultimate freedom is in retraining your mind. And since your beliefs are the vehicle for everything you create in the universe, it follows naturally that you spend more time on training your mind to create the beliefs that you want to have, rather than the beliefs you are conditioned to have, and create beliefs that work for you, for your unique psychology. And I've already said, there are tools out there, use them by all means, but the ultimate tool is to learn without any aids to direct your mind into those states you want to experience. So obviously, different frequencies hold different information. When the 5 to 8 hertz frequency becomes the dominant frequency, well, you will start trading very differently. Your whole world will become very, very different in many respects. And this is basically, what is going on at the moment. We are moving, energetically speaking, our galaxy, our solar system is moving more into the 5 to 8 heart love frequency. This is what this is all about. Yeah, it's about the journey to the center of creation. So whatever we are doing at the moment on a massive scale, is being aided by the cosmos at large. It is aided by creation. It is aided by the field. This is, what we are saying here. So there is, if you like, no better time to learn this work and set the intention to adopt, because the changes, it will change your life. It really will change your life, because everything around us is supporting it, in spite of what you see in the world as chaos and things, And by the way, the more of us who are willing to do this work and are serious about this, staying the course, we can help with the transition of the breakdown of the system, which of course, it's breaking down wherever you look. It is breaking down. Whoops, we come to that in a second. You will help that breakdown to happen in a more benign way. So we are all a part of it. Far from being helpless victims, we are co-creators, and we can set the choice to help with a benign movement from one end of a cycle into the next. That is how powerful this is. Yes, it takes quite a few people. I'm sure all of you who are in this webinar and signed up for this webinar, you understand all this at some level. I'm absolutely certain of this. And here is the special offer. Now, I invite you to take out 6 months membership of the Transformational Guided Meditations Academy. This is a forum where we get together every 2 weeks. It is recorded as a group, and the recordings hold the energy of the group meditation. They are very, very powerful. I listen to them myself after the recordings, and I can tell you, it has really amazed me how powerful this stuff is. Now this is what I invite you to sign up for. The price on my website, it is $495. Now, I know there are quite a few of you who don't have that much experience with meditation, and that is not a problem, because in the Meditation Academy at the moment, as it stands, there are a number of very experienced meditators, and of course, they carry the energy for everybody else who may come on board, who is still, sort of learning about it. And, it'll help you to tune into the energies, in a more profound and bigger way. Now, I am also going to offer with the 6-month membership. I want to make the point only for the 6-month membership. You will get access to a new course I'm going to make available next year. And that is, the course will be entitled How to Meditate to Transform Your Life. And basically, in this course, you will go deeper into how the unconscious works and how to meditate to elicit a lasting positive change. It'll be like a workshop. It'll be fully interactive. And we will create specific meditations. If you have a particular issue, we will do this and record that for you so that you can use it. So I think that'll be a very, very powerful help for you to really put your meditation skills on steroids. As I said, this workshop will be made available in January. It'll have a price point of $290, and I will give you that. It's part of this offer if you sign up for 6 months. Now, as a special Thanksgiving bonus, I am going to give the first 5 people who sign up for this offer, I will give you my trading psychology course, Improve Your Trading Mind. This is basically, it's a self-directed course that comes in 3 parts. There is a written section where I explain the universal laws and how they apply to your trading, or should I say to your trading mind. Then there is a very detailed questionnaire, self-assessment questionnaire, and you will gain, if you take the time to do this, it'll probably take an hour or so to do the questionnaire, but it'll give you very clear idea of where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. And then finally, this course has got 16 audios, and these audios are about between 15 and 25 minutes long. Some are designed to be used while you trade, to help you with your chart reading, help you with, obviously, with your trading psychology. And last but not least, the trading psychology course comes with a one-on-one coaching session. I charge $300 at the moment for my private coaching clients. So if you are a private coaching client of mine, that's what one session would cost you. So this is only for the first 5 purchases. And so what have we got here? Just to clarify, for the first 5 purchases, the total value of this offer would be $1,284, but you will get it for $495. By just go to my website and sign up for the Guided Meditation Academy. Just want to stress, this is not available for if you sign up for, because you can get a trial 1-month purchase of the Meditation Academy, which incidentally nobody has ever taken up, which is interesting. But that offer is not for that. It's only if you sign up for the 6 months. And then, as I said, if you're not one of the first 5 purchasers, then you still get very good value with the complimentary workshop, which I will do. We will see. I'll contact you about this when we will do this. At some point in December. At a time which will suit everybody, because I want you all to have the ability to partake live in that workshop. The offer finally, it closes on the 30th of November. So that brings the presentation to an end. Here are my contact details, mentalstrategiesfortraders.com. You can also join me on my Facebook page. You can join me on my YouTube channel. And please, for questions, you can email me either at Mercedes at thebuddhisttrader.com, or of course, through the contact form. Now, this brings the official part of this webinar to an end, and we've gone very long, so I'm going to stop the recording and just see if there are any